Yo, Marathon, question for you. How we gonna handle wipes, man? Because I'm having two schools of thought here, right? Thought A, involuntary wipes, which, yeah, we'll talk about that here shortly. And then thought B, voluntary wipes, which, yeah, we'll talk more about that here shortly. And this is super important because if this is not done correctly, maybe not initially, right? Maybe not for the first wipe or the second wipe, but if this is not done correctly at some point, then this can severely hamper the growth and the further development of this game. Now, the first thing I want to have a dialogue about are the voluntary wipes, and the greatest example we have of voluntary wipes are, of course, in Arc Raiders with the most recent expedition project, as they call it, that just went on, right? So if you are unfamiliar with how Arc Raiders handles their wipes, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. You have an 8-week window to fulfill something called an expedition project, which is this tiered system where you're donating certain materials, certain items, money, all that good stuff, right? You go through the 5 tiers. After you have completed tier 5, you are officially ready for the expedition, right? Now, in week 9, is it week 9? It might be week 8. It might be in week 8, or there may be an additional week, like a bonus week, which is week 9. I can't quite remember, right? But either way, in that final week, you'll have the ability to hit submit on the expedition. And when you hit submit on the expedition, it says, all right, you're good to go. So once that final week concludes, your raider will go on the expedition, your account is wiped, and you will be starting from ground zero for the missions, for getting your workbenches together, for building out your stash, etc. Now, the reason why you would do this is because there's some incentive, right? With this most recent expedition project, you had the opportunity, based on how much you donated to the project, you had the opportunity to increase your stash space, to get extra skill points, to have an XP boost, and a couple things like that, right? All pretty cool stuff. But I gotta keep it a buck with y'all. That was not enough for your boy to go through the expedition project at all. I didn't do it. I didn't do the expedition project. And you may ask, okay, well, why not? I thought, for what it was worth, for everything I had to do, right? Because I think per million dollars worth of items or credits that you had, you would get an additional skill point. So if you had 1 million in your stash plus your currency, you would get an additional skill point and I believe a certain amount of stash space. And then for 2 million, you would get one more skill point, a little bit more stash, 3 million, 4 million, all the way up to 5 million, right? Which is cool. I think you could have gotten an additional, what was it, 12 to 24 stash slots? Again, I can't remember top of mind. You might have to just Google that, right? And then you can get up to an extra 5 skill points, which is cool, right? It's cool. But to me, that wasn't worth trading in my blueprints, yo. As of right now, I think I have like 42 or 43 blueprints, and I haven't done any like blueprint runs or anything like that, right? But I got over 40 blueprints, bro. I'm not giving those up without a concrete way for me to be able to get those back, right? If they had a blueprint vendor trading system or something like that, and that's another video for another day, but if they had something like that, maybe I would have been more apt to go do the expedition. But I was like, nah, bro, like, nah, man, I just got the Tempest blueprint the week prior, like, heck nah, bro, I ain't letting these go. I'm not, right? So the incentive for me at least wasn't really there, but for the people that create content or that just put in hundreds upon hundreds of hours because they didn't have anything better to do, no disrespect to you, by the way, hey, look, game recognizes game, but for those people, they did the expedition because it was like, hey, look, I got to keep the game fresh. So they did it, started from ground zero, built their stashes back up, got the bonuses, went through missions, so on and so forth. Cool, right? And look, I have to add this too, just for the sake of giving a full picture. The developers already said the first expedition didn't hit the way they wanted it to, and they're looking at ways to make it more worthwhile, right? So I'll give Embark their flowers there in that regard. But yeah, with that all being said, that is an example of a voluntary wipe system, all right? Pretty cool. And look, I personally believe voluntary wipes destroy involuntary wipes, and I'm gonna tell you all why, right? Because I like to try to put myself in the shoes of the casual gamer, the individual that just worked 40 hours this week or 50 hours and did this, that, and the third. Imagine this. Imagine you are that individual. You work a construction job. You just work 50 hours in the heat or in the cold, sweating, body aching and everything. You want to kick your feet up, run some raids with the homies, and just vibe out. Imagine if the wipes were involuntary, right? You haven't had a chance to really sit down and game in a few weeks. You sit down, you kick your feet up, you grab your controller. I don't have a controller near me, so I'm gonna just grab my mouse. You grab your controller, you're like, man, let me crack open the Corona. Let me jump on with the homies. And you jump on and you back at the tutorial. You're like, hey man, wait a minute. Why am I at the tutorial, bro? What's going on? And your friend is like, oh man, you didn't know? Man, they had wipes last week. So everything that you spent the last 2 to 3 months gathering to be able to use, because you don't get to play that often, is gone, brother. It's gone. We're back to square one together, right? Or even worse, imagine this. You are in that same position. You sit down, you got nothing in your vault. Your homies are like, oh yeah, the involuntary wipe happened 4 weeks ago. We're back kitted, but you got to start from ground zero, bro. So you guys are getting ready to get into lobbies, and I'll use Arc Raiders as an example. You guys are about to jump into these lobbies. You're going to run into people that still are using trigger nades. You're going to run into people that already have their Renegade 4s, their Venators ready to go and all that, right? And you about to walk in with a Pharaoh, you know, like, okay, or a Stitcher. Stitcher's okay, but all right, good luck fighting those dudes with the Survivor augments and the Venators and the T-nades that still hit like a Mack truck. Yeah, bro, good luck. If I'm that dude, I'm like, man, this is stupid, bro. I'm gonna go ahead. Hey, I'm gonna holla at y'all later, man. Let me know whenever y'all want to play repo or something like that, bro, because I ain't fooling with this, right? I ain't fooling with this. So that entire scenario right there encapsulates why involuntary wipes for me are a no-go. Like, I understand the Tarkov enthusiasts, they've been navigating involuntary wipes since the dawn of the ages, right? Is that the expression, the dawn of the ages? I can't remember, but they've been embracing that for quite some time, right? And it was actually a mechanic that was introduced because they didn't know what else to do. The game was in beta and they had to bring everybody to baseline. And the premise it was founded on wasn't even like solid foundation. It wasn't like no big brain play. That they just had no other option than to wipe, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, in my opinion, involuntary wipes are a no-go. So back to Marathon. I just went on a huge tangent. Let's get back to Marathon here. Personally, I believe Marathon has to have voluntary wipes. And again, we're going to look over the fence and we're going to look at Arc Raiders. Okay, how did Arc Raiders do it? What went right? What went wrong? You know what I'm saying? They have to be able to construe their own voluntary wipe system, right? And if they just bit off the Expedition project and created their own Expedition project, all right, that does seem a little bit silly, whatever. But even if they had it, let's just say, for the sake of this hypothetical, we have the Marathon project. I don't know what else to call it, right? They have to make sure that the voluntary wipe is worthwhile, right? We can't just have a little XP boost. We can't just have a little bit of extra stash space. Like, we got to give it something that's a little bit more meaty. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we're going to do an XP bonus, it can't be no 3 to 5%. Like, no, it got to be like somewhere 10 to 15, maybe even 20%, right? It's got to be something that's thick like that. You know what I'm saying? There has to be some drip involved as well. Like, whether you like the Marathon aesthetic or not, you have to say it is very unique. So man, give us some drip, man. Give us some skins that we could put on some of the respective runner shells, or the weaponry that is just like dope, that you know for a fact if you got it, man, you don't want to take that respective skin off because it's really like that. You know what I'm saying? Give us some cosmetic incentive like that. Or Bungie, if we want to dip into our Destiny bag a little bit, where Destiny would dip into like the aura, is a great example, is like when you would level up your guardian rank. Yeah, that's what it's called. When you would level that up in a tower, you walk around with this golden aura in the tower and everybody knows that dude just leveled up his guardian rank. Give us a little aura or something like that, right? Just give us something that we can flex that may not have any rhyme or reason to wear other than the flex. Give it to us, because as human beings and as gamers, what do we like to do? We like to walk around with that S on our chest, right? We like to flex a little bit to show people, yeah, we did that, you know? And as I'm sitting here rambling, I just had another thought. This would never happen, by the way, just because it would alienate the player base a little bit. But imagine if we had a wipe-only map, right? You can only access this map if you had gone through a voluntary wipe. Whether if we're talking about a map that you could complete a raid on or a social space, it don't even matter. You just give something that's somewhat exclusive to people, that isn't going to be at the detriment of the people that didn't do the voluntary wipe, or the people that didn't do the voluntary wipe, they sit and say, shoot, man, I want to be able to go to that place right there. Again, this could be a map or a social space. So now they have more of an incentive. Even if I'm the casual gamer that can only play a few hours a week, I know, man, I got to get to that place. It's no different than going flawless in Destiny 2, right? Like, I knew, man, look, and at that point in time, I was in college back when Destiny 1 came out, right? And we had trials and all that. But I knew in between classes, your boy got to find a way to get to the lighthouse, man. I got to. And I did. And when I did, it was glorious. Screw the fact I had to go to class the next day. Man, I went to the lighthouse last night, bro. You know how that felt, you know? So maybe something like that. I know that's a reach, and I know not everybody would agree with that, but hey, look, your boy can dream a little bit, you know? Ultimately, as you all can tell just from watching this video up to this point, your boy ain't got the answers on this one. I ain't got the answers on this one, and I'll be totally honest, I don't think any extraction shooter on the market has just hit it out the park when it comes to wipes. I almost said when it comes to, but when it comes to wipes, like no extraction shooter has this figured out to a T yet, you know? So this isn't necessarily exclusive to Marathon or Bungie. No, this is wide across the entire market. But what I will say about this is whatever Bungie does, they have to make sure they do it with not just the sweat lords in mind, but also our everyday casual players as well. And with this all being said, I want to hear what you all have to say. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you all think about the wipes? Should we go voluntary, involuntary? Share your thoughts and your, not theories, but like, yeah, just your thoughts in totality down below in the comments. Who knows, maybe by some off chance, somebody from Bungie checks out this video, they watch it, they go to the comments, and maybe you could be the person to get their brains rolling in the right direction. Who knows? But either way, it's been your boy Cray. I'm signing out. I love you all. Thank you all so much for coming and watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.